Cedric Maxwell podcast
is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
All right, it's another episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. I am Josue Pavon alongside Cedric Maxwell. Max, the Celtics, man, they don't sign everybody, man. Everyone that, if you was in the rotation last season, you coming back and you'll be back the year after that.
It's absolutely.
Jayson Tatum's conversation with Sports Illustrated. He opened up a little bit about his relationship with Jaylen. We'll get into that. And of course, the Olympics kicking off this weekend out in Paris, out in France. And also we'll do a new edition of Big Deal or No Big Deal as this damn plane flies above me here outside my parents' place, man. But how are you, Max? How's Charlotte, man? What's new?
I'm doing excellent in Charlotte. I'm going to probably ask our listeners, our viewers. I have a mourning dove, which is laid an egg, and is nesting on the back of my grill on my back patio. And now
Crazy.
I can't move the grill cover unless I turn the heat on and cook him. So I don't think nobody wants to see that.
Don't do that, Max. No, don't do that. That doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, I think people would be pretty mad at me, but he's back on the back deck now. I just kind of walked into him, but no, the season just seemed. It doesn't seem weird that the season seemed like it just stopped, but it's already ramping up again. The Celtics put out the exhibition schedule, and you're going to Abu Dhabi, 2 games, and then the exhibition season. Philly, I know they play Toronto. And people ask me, "Are you going to Abu Dhabi?" I would like to go, but I don't think that they're taking. It's an exhibition game, so I can't believe that the team or the radio station is going to fly us over there to Abu Dhabi.
Oh man!
Do the first game against the 2 games against the Denver Nuggets. It would be nice. It would be the word you and I, Josue, like it would be free. So for me, it is really be a cool thing, to go. But again, I'm just stunned at them winning the championship and now doing collectively what most teams have done. You think about it. Most teams, once they win the championship, they lose players. They lose key pieces in their lineup. The Boston Celtics, as you said, have gone back in and they've signed everybody.
Every damn body.
Everybody gets a contract. Sam Hauser, you get an extension. Drew Holiday.
Derek White.
Derek White.
Yeah.
So you are, that thing where they
Tatum's the richest contract now. Yeah.
You know how they always say that thing about bringing the band back? They're bringing the damn band back. I was more interested in hearing what Joel Embiid said. He's like, Tatum and that. He's like, it sounded like he was hating on the team that the Celtics had, just saying, yeah, you got a super team, and look what I have. Woe is me. Joel Embiid, come on, be serious, man. You just signed.
Embiid's hating on everybody.
You just signed a big contract with one of the best free agents out there. So, handle your business. Handle your damn business. So it's going to. I just think that it just seemed that season is just stopped. But now for Tate and, the guys who are there, they don't get any rest. And, I think that Jaylen Brown, as much as we want to talk about it, he remains in the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
He remains in the headlines for not being on the Olympic team, things he said, and then the things he said about Bronny. People were reading his lips when he went to
crazy, man.
Went to a game and somebody was reading his lips.
That's a private conversation, man. Like people.
Well, no, Josue. It reminds me of the shit that you did to me. All right, when you were up there with the camera.
there was no mouth reading. There was no mouth reading on that one, man. Everyone knew what you were saying. What you mean? It was no one had to decipher what was going on there. But I see your point.
Yeah, but Jaylen's sitting there. He's looking at Bronny. He goes, "Man, Bronny's not the pro." And they're following his lips to see what he had to say. And here's the thing: if you're Jaylen Brown, what are you doing in preseason? What do you do? Well, don't you have something else you can do with your life? For me,
Summer league.
The last thing I wanted to do was be around a basketball game to see anybody play, especially during the preseason. I would never want to go to Vegas.
See
a preseason game. Although
you rather go to the island somewhere, right?
Well, although Jaylen Brown was surrounded by some talent, he had some beautiful women around him. Wasn't Angel Reese around him and his new girl?
Yeah, some great, a talented basketball player. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Great talent. You're right.
Yeah, but for them to be there was like, I mean, that was really the crazy part because isn't their season going on, or was it the All-Star?
So they had their All-Star break. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it was in Phoenix. All-Star weekend was in Phoenix, so they had the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, look, Jaylen's gonna do what he wants, man. That's what I like about Jaylen. He's gonna show his personality, and that's his thing, man. He wants to be out in Vegas, and obviously he let it be known that he was disappointed about Team USA. Hey,
that's right, at a basketball game.
Maybe he was sticking it to Team USA and Nike, man, being like, hey, man, I can do my own thing over here.
You're gonna go to a basketball game? I mean, I'm not hating on him.
He's different.
You do what you want to do, but I mean, for me, when I played. The thing I wanted to do more than anything was to get away from everything. Yeah. And I didn't want to have myself. He puts himself right back into the spotlight again. I think that he's going to have maybe overload when it comes to exposure. Excuse me.
Oh, God bless you.
Because he's going to be exposed, and not even be there.
Right. Well, like you mentioned, Max, at least he's got the same supporting cast coming right back, right? Guys like Derek White, Drew Holiday, extended, Jayson Tatum, inking the richest contract in NBA history, and then Brad Stevens took it a step further, right? I mean, this team's not going to be with Kristaps Porzingis for at least a month, 2 months or so, maybe by Christmas. So he brings back Tillman, he brings back Luke Cornet, he brings back Kata on a multi-year deal. So outside of Al Horford, all these guys are signed through 2026, and I think that's a good thing when you look at the second apron and the penalties that come with it. And then for him to add Sam Hauser into the mix, man, that's a bargain, man, today's NBA. Someone who shoots over 40% from three, we're talking about a 4-year, $45 million deal. He probably could have got double that in the open market, for being honest, man. Some team out there would have paid him, maybe not quite double, but close to it. So that's a bargain for the Celtics.
I think you're right. Because you can go down to Miami and look at Duncan Robinson. Would you want Duncan Robinson or would you want Sam Hauser?
Oh, Hauser.
Duncan Robinson gets off his shot maybe quicker, but Hauser gets his shot off quicker and right now probably more reliable of a shooter once he gets in the corner. So, yeah, Duncan Robinson would be the perfect example. Miami paid him, I think, $20+ million.
I was just gonna say, you know how much he's making?
It game over $100 million.
Yeah, almost 90 mil. But yeah,
who's counting after taxes because you don't have state income tax in Miami
in Florida? Yeah, sure.
Who's really counting? So, but you're exactly right when it comes to contracts and procedures and all the stuff that's going along with it.
Yeah, man. Like the second apron, it's restricting a lot of teams, and I think teams are afraid of that. But the Celtics signing these guys that's an asset. That's a tradable contract. I know maybe some Celtics fans don't want to hear that, but you got Baylor Shireman, who could be a potential replacement in the future. You got Aiden Watson, who sort of have the same sort of style in the sense of being someone that can connect from deep, close to 40%. So that's a development in itself as well. So Celtics have options here. But if you're Brad Stevens, you want to see these guys. I mean, what I'm trying to say here, you don't rock the boat. You know what I mean? Like you want to stick with what you got for as long as possible. And if you can convince these guys to come back, on quote unquote team friendly deals, somewhat of what we're seeing with Hauser right now, that's what you do. That's what you do if you're trying to build a dynasty.
Here's one of the things I would think about with this team. Does it make this team because of the portion that Wick is putting up to sell his portion of the team or however that goes? does it make them more attractive because they have the stability, but at the same time, does it make them unattractive because of the second apron, the money that they put into this? When it comes to selling this product, are you a owner wanting to come in taking probably one of the highest payrolls in the NBA, but you're taking one of the most marquee franchises out there? So I'm going to like to see what happens, in this near future for this team.
Oh, you and me both, Max. I mean, whoever comes in here, they got some tough decisions to make in a couple of years, really hard decisions, because whether, let's say they go out and win another championship or whether they don't, right? You have to decide how much you're going to be willing to pay for this team. And at the end of the day, like, you're going to have to start breaking up some of these guys to sort of make up for not only the future, but for, keeping these guys as closer to underneath the second apron as possible. So I think that's something that's going to be, people will be talking about that for sure, because those decisions, someone's got to make those. And it's not always going to be the guys that are in the front office now with the team on sale, the team on the market the way it is right now.
I wonder, did the Players Association really look at the potential money that players were not going to make because of the aprons? Because did they factor in that you're going to have this guy as a max guy, this guy's a max guy? You might have a team there because you have these aprons. You're going to be restricted with your team. Mm-hmm. You have an Al Horford coming back for $10 million. You have a Hauser coming in. You have Pritchard. You got some really good pieces. And if you are Brad Stevens, does it make it that much more attractive when you think about moving pieces on this team to see where they go and how they fit in with what your future plans are going to be? See, hell, you got Peyton Pritchard for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Signed a long-term deal. Brown, you got, Drew. Porzingis is I think Porzingis is that decision that you're probably going to have to make.
Big time.
Because he's going to want to cash in. And now you already have all these other guys who cashed in. But, he really makes this team work. But the argument that people are going to have is going to say, this team won the championship in spite of, or with, the amount of injuries that Porzingis had this year. So
right.
It's going to be hot out there when you think about this team and what they need to do.
Would you be shocked if this is the best year we've ever seen from Porzingis in the Celtics uniform?
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I wouldn't surprise me either, Max. It really wouldn't.
I mean, if he comes back, he's only going to be there for, when you say maybe 3/5 of the year. I don't think he's going to miss half a season, but probably that first month, a month and a half. And then,
for sure.
Then you're going to bring him back, and you're probably going to do him like Al. No second night of back-to-back. You're going to baby the injury. And, so it's going to be, the Celtics did what they need to do. They won a ring. Now can they put themselves I think they're putting themselves in a position right now. And Vegas does too, of being they're looking at being the favorite right now. In the big picture with the NBA so far as, being the leader in winning the championship next year. Boy, Lakers,
they're the team to beat.
Laker fans got to hate these words coming out of my mouth. They must be like, oh, shit. I done met so many of them out here this summer, man.
Max, I can name at least 10 teams that have a better chance of knocking out the Celtics than the Lakers, man. Like that's how much the gap is, if you ask me, honestly.
You say you can name.
You don't agree with that?
You name 10 teams that could do what?
That have a better shot at winning a title than the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh,
like that's how far the gap is. Like we weren't saying that a year ago. Like these guys, they won the championship in 2020. I mean, it might feel like a long time ago, but in the grand scheme of things.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just You against the numbers. That easy. Get in on the excitement and win up to 100 times your cash with the summer games on Prize Picks. With Prize Picks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more. You can do it in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and you're locked in. Okay, have fun. It's simple. It's easy to do. For example, Kyle Schwarber for more than 9 hitter fantasy score, and Bryce Miller for more than 4 pitcher strikeouts. Right? Julian Alvarez for more than 2.5 shots, and LeBron James for more than 25 points. More or less. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Okay, but here, let me ask you this question. What has LeBron James done for his legacy so far in these first couple of games in the Olympics? You got all these star players, all these young phenoms, and it's the old man that seems to be carrying them.
Yeah.
So is he?
But that's not going to be the whole thing, though. You think that's going to be the whole thing? I mean, does Durant play? Like, that's another big question.
I don't think it shouldn't be.
Durant's got to come in there and get some, man. Like, and this is probably going to be his last one. So I think it'd be a great sort of passing the torch to guys like Tatum and you know, the younger guys.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, they got to step in here. Steph too. I mean, to me, this thing's going to come down to, especially in the second half, late in the second half, it's going to come down to defense, man. And I wonder if those guys can keep up, man. LeBron, I'm not worried about, but the Steph Currys and we'll see.
Well, they should have better legs than LeBron. They're younger players.
Yeah, that's true.
What are you saying? You look at Devin Booker. He's how many years younger is he? LeBron? 20 years almost.
Yeah, but Devin Booker and defense, man, that's like oil and freaking water, man. Like that man does not play defense.
Killing the kid. But I mean, I think let's backtrack a little bit and let's talk about the Celtics. How will they be? Oh
yeah, what were you gonna ask me before? My fault, I cut you off.
Well, 2 things I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you about LeBron, but I'm gonna ask you right now about the Celtics. Some of the coaches that they've lost. How will that affect them? Because Drew Holiday, Lee, the new coach of Charlotte, really worked exclusively with Drew Holiday on, getting the shot, working with him. How would the coaches who've left, how would that affect this team?
I just wonder the guys that come in, the newer guys that they're acclimated, I'm not too concerned because I love the reports about Sam Cassell, having an increased role. I think this is the Celtics' way of trying to kind of keep him around for the foreseeable future because he's probably the guy who's up next in the sense of getting a job out there. He's been interviewed for the Lakers position, or at least he was reportedly interviewed for the Lakers position.
I don't know. I love No.
And I think the Celtics made sure that it didn't happen. They want to make sure that wasn't going to happen. Yeah,
I love Sam. I really do, and I think he's
got a home here, man.
He's a great coach, but there's also an age limit for coaches in the NBA and how far you can go. How old is Sam now? 50-something years old. You got to be. If I'm saying that, got to be his mid 50s, mid 50s, something like that.
Yeah,
where the NBA is a lot of times looking for younger coaches. The next new thing, a guy that they can hire for 5-6 years. Sam Cassell he's an old soul now, and he's been around. He knows the game. I just think that there's some discrimination when it comes to not his age is going to go against him when it comes to talking about some of these teams out there who would like to take a look at him. Hell, how the hell did JJ Redick get into the beat?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Speaking of experience, jeez.
But I'm not. He didn't have experience, but I think his age factor, his exposure, I think that was a whole nother thing. The word was that Sam.
What about what about the third one, Max? The biggest reason. His relationship with LeBron James? That helped a little bit, no?
Oh yeah. That was no question about that. Having the podcast and all that stuff. But yeah, that was really cool to have that. But still, I think you look at Sam, and that's the other thing. People said, and this is, damn, I almost sound like Donald Trump now. People said that Sam did not interview well when he went out there. So, you're going to have to improve those skills. And at what point when you're 55 years old, those skills, are you trying to go to another team and be a head coach? I mean, you look at Jeff Van Gundy, he leaves here with all kind of experience. He goes out with Lou, and he's going to be an assistant coach out there. It's like that. It's just, sometimes that's just your lot in life. And this is one of the best gigs around. Hell, to be an assistant coach, be a head coach is great, but be an assistant coach, sometimes you ain't feeling all that pressure that the head coach feels.
Right. I think he's comfortable with it, Max. That's what I mean, and I think the increased role.
No, he's not.
You think he still wants the head coaching job?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. I talked to him enough to say, look, I want to be someplace, and I would love to be a coach. I talked to him. I said, what happens if you get one of these teams that are not a good team, and they come to you? Do you take the job? And Sam said, I'd be a fool not to. I'd be a fool not to take a head coaching job just to show people what I can do. But right now, with him being in Boston, he's able to show some of the stuff, but not in the parlance of being a head coach of a team. So I think it really hurts him in that regard.
So Jayson Tatum had a one-on-one exclusive with Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated, and he opened up a little bit about his relationship with Jaylen Brown, or at least the narrative surrounding it. And looking back on things, Max, he says that he sort of regrets not speaking up more when things were going around in terms of like the trade rumors and all that stuff, and people talking about the dynamic of their relationship, if these guys are close or not. Looking back on it, he kind of wishes he said more, but he was afraid to kind of just enter those type of conversations. And I thought it was pretty cool, man, because I think it's honest of him. I'm sure they had conversations behind closed doors, which is something that he did open up about. But at the same time, I don't know if it would have helped Jaylen all that much. There's two parts of this thing, right? One is their relationship. The other part is that the rumors and all that stuff out there. I don't know if it helps if Tatum goes out and says, hey, we're not going to trade Jaylen, or, hey, I want to make sure that, because then it looks like he has a lot more power than we may have imagined. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but what's your take on it? How do you feel about these quotes, these comments from Tatum talking about Brown?
I don't think that Tatum was ready to do that over these first couple of years. He wasn't.
Fair. Yeah.
And he wasn't comfortable as a communicator. I've talked to him enough in interviews, and he's somewhat shy, reserved kid. But what you see in him is him gaining confidence day by day when it comes to him dealing with the national media. And I think he's ready now. That's why he didn't do those interviews before. He just wasn't. He just did not. He didn't have that in him to go out and do those kind of interviews. So I think that you want to make sure that. I every time I think about him, though, I still just go on that tirade where he talks about me saying he didn't know who I was.
No, he mentioned that. I gotta send you this article, man. That Mannix, it's like 3 paragraphs in, saying that he just thought you were just a radio dude, and people need to realize, set the record straight, because people need to realize, like, you like this story, okay? Like, if people who've been watching this podcast, you've been telling this story for years.
No. I love this story, Josue.
You love this story. Excuse me.
I love this story. I think it's
not offensive.
I think it's the funniest shit out there when I think about Jayson Tatum. And I said before how we had him for a year, and I speak to him. Hey, Jayson, I had some stuff going for him. Even this year, a couple of the players when I was introduced, to hand the trophy over and said, Cedric Maxwell Finals MVP.
Indianapolis.
A couple of them came up to me and going, dude, you were the Finals MVP? you were.
What'd you say? You better Google. Google's your friend. You better find out about me.
What's the guy's name that's on Get Up in the morning? He asked those crazy questions. Is Shambone? What's the guy he's on and he'll ask a question of a bunch of the guys, and they'll say, who is this person? Who is that? Well, this year I was featured, and he said, who was the youngest MVP of the Boston Celtics? I don't know if they got it or not, but somebody gave it to me later on and said the youngest was Cedric Maxwell, 25 years old, Finals MVP.
Yes, sir.
But what I loved about that was that Jayson Tatum, essentially was like, when he found out who I was, he had to watch. He was watching 30 for 30. Yep. And I was reluctant about doing that. I remember my broadcast partner, Sean Grandy, no, you got to do it. It's, great exposure. I'm like, man, that's crap. I don't want to do it. Well, all of a sudden we did this 30 for 30 Lakers, and Jayson Tatum comes out on the court, and he starts doing like this. He looks at me, he goes, cornbread. I was like, what do you want, man? What
do you need?
Everybody calls me just Max, but he was like, cornbread. I was like, what? He goes, man, I saw you on that 30 for 30. Whew, you were a bad motherfucker, man.
Yeah, I love that story.
When he does it this time, I like he even tells the story again. I just thought he was a guy walking around doing the radio. It's like he didn't know, and it was just, I think.
Yeah, man. It was after one of the practices, the way they do it. Both teams during the NBA Final, they practice at the same venue. So this is at TD Garden, and he's just talking about learning about the history. And he goes, and it wasn't even, no one even asked him a question about it. He just said, for example, Cedric Maxwell, I thought he was just a radio dude. Like, no, man, that's the Finals MVP, 2-time champion. Like, his numbers in the rafters. Like, I love that, man. It's like you see these people every day, right? You're going to work and all this stuff, and then one night, if you're Tatum, right, you watch this documentary, you're so into it, and you're like, wait, I know that guy. And you just like, wait, he's not just a tall ass radio broadcaster. That dude's a legend. Like, I love it, man. I really do, because
that is the coolest thing when you watch somebody's watching TV and going, oh, I know that guy right there.
Right.
I know him.
And if you're with someone, they're like, well, who is it? Like, oh, he be in the radio. He does our games.
He's on the plane with us, but I didn't know who he was.
And I think it speaks to a lot about your personality, right? That you know what I mean? You're not going around being like, do you know who I am? It's like no, man. Like, you're just you, man. You're always you, regardless of the accolades and all that, man.
That is not a thing that I will do. It is the funniest. Absolutely. I might be the most quirky Finals MVP.
For real.
I think that I'm cool about it. My history with the team is what it is, So, lead the team in scoring versus the Lakers in the seventh game in '84, being the Finals MVP, still having some, offensive records, field goal percentage records with the team after all these years. Held a bunch of free throw records that Paul Pierce broke. And so my legacy with the team is secure. And I don't get into all this other stuff, but I think it's the funniest thing when I hear and I see Jayson Tatum and, he comes up to me. I got to get this picture. I think hopefully I have it of myself standing with, and it was me, Porzingis, Al Horford, and Jayson Tatum with the trophy. And I'm standing beside Porzingis, and I end up posting this picture on Facebook, and everybody said, "Are you sick? What's wrong with you?" Because I look so small
compared to those dudes.
I said, but I was standing beside Porzingis. He's 7'5". oh, well, I am gonna look small. So,
yeah, I do.
It was just funny though. So yeah, man, I'm just kind of stoked about it. But this season, I mean, it would have been absolutely a bummer if the Celtics had lost, though. Oh my God. I can't even imagine how we'd be doing this interview. How
just
Michael
to start all over again and bring back the
would have been just those people would have been going off, and all them Laker haters over there would have been going, night Celtics. I am just so happy that when I see Michael Thompson again, or if I see some of my radio people out in Philly or around that be able to talk completely different when it comes to talking noise, especially if you have one of those things on your finger and you're walking around and saying, yo, what's up? Especially, and the thing I did with Michael Wilborn, I loved that when I walked behind him and he said, he was doing a live interview after the Celtics had won it. I tapped him on the shoulder while he was doing the interview back to Bristol. And he goes, yeah, that. And I just tapped him. I said, how about them damn Celtics? He looked over and sees me, just smiling.
Nah, you didn't say it like that. You yelled that shit.
Bye-bye, Lakers. Bye-bye, Lakers.
Everyone's like, man, the Lakers ain't even here. Man, what the hell?
Well, you know what?
But they know what you meant, though. They know what you meant.
Here's the thing about it. The Lakers are there. The Lakers were there. The Lakers were just as big a part of this championship as anything, because everybody I knew, especially any Laker fan, it was anybody but the Celtics. Every time somebody else lost it, every time a team won, it was like, okay, I'm with Dallas now, or I'm with this
Denver,
with that team.
or Minnesota.
It is, I'm with that team. But it was anybody except the Lakers, and they had proven that they were the best team by far all year long, and for them to come out and play the way they did, and then you give them the big points because they did it for a couple of games without Porzingis. Yeah, I mean Porzingis was huge coming back from an injury, then injured himself again, and then Jaylen Brown just went to the stratosphere. I couldn't have been happier and more proud of an individual as he stepped up. Even they wanted to make this whole thing that Jaylen Brown deserved it. Yes, he did. But Tatum also was a closer. So that don't get it twisted that neither one could have done it without the other one. And that's what makes this such a cool system, and this team collectively as a unit. It's going to be here's the thing about it. They're going to be the hunted this year. We know that they're going to be the hunted. So Howard, they're not going to sneak up on anybody. You are on the rate as the world champion. You're on the radar for every one of these teams. So, you better bring your A game every single night for 82 games. And we know that's impossible to do.
That post-game or post-season record of 16-3, man, it just speaks for itself. Like that was the gap. That was the talent gap. And like you mentioned, a lot of those games they won without Porzingis, without their third best scorer, without their third option, someone that made his impact on both ends of the floor. Like most teams wouldn't be able to put up that type of record, without having one of their main guys like that. And the Celtics, they made it look easy, man. Besides the Pacers series, they made it look pretty easy.
Josue, how about you got to give this? All the haters that were out there, all the things that could have gone wrong for this team.
That's true.
I mean, because you said that game, one of the greatest shots we've seen in history of Boston Celtics was Jaylen Brown to tie it up in the first game.
Deep in the corner.
If the Pacers come in and win that first game, what happens? And then, even now, they can't say anything about it when they give you a ring. But even now, when you say 16-3, first thing people say is, well, what happened when they played Miami? There was no Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. What happened when they played Cleveland? Donovan was out at the end.
By the end of the series, yeah.
What happened when they played, Indiana? Halliburton wasn't playing. And
From
then
game
you go
4.
to Dallas, and everybody said, "Oh my God, Dallas! Both teams are healthy. Both teams are healthy." And then Porzingis gets hurt, so you can't hate on the Celtics for what they did for this year. If you hate on them, then you don't know. You don't know shit about basketball.
For real. Facts. That's it. That's the way to put it right there. Bluntly, it's blunt, but hey, it's exactly on point because this team from top to bottom, man, like they just shown the entire league that they were the best all year long. There's nothing like live baseball on a hot summer day, and I can't wait for my upcoming trip to Fenway Park this month, and you could be doing the same thing thanks to Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. With the All-Star game in the rear view, you know right now this is the time when things start to heat up going into the playoffs this upcoming fall, and you don't want to miss out on the action. I mean, the Boston Red Sox are one of the hottest teams in the MLB right now, playing their best of the year, and you don't want to miss out. You could also get last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy place to buy MLB tickets, and for every other kind of event in your area. This is your place to go to. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. And also, it's the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And of course, going into next season, you're gonna have your victory lap, Max. That's gonna be hilarious, man. I want to see when you guys are playing when the Celtics are playing the Pistons, and Rick Mahorn wants to be talking some shit.
I feel no. How am I going? I can't rub it in the Rick Mahorn. He has one of the worst teams out there
because of the Pistons right now.
I can't hate on him at all. That's not. It's going to be a lot more fun with the Lakers.
I bet you he doesn't agree with firing their coach.
It's going to be a lot of fun with Miami, teams like that. It's going to be a lot of fun, talking noise to those people. But Rick Mahorn, where he's at, Rick Mahorn, he's already right now. When the new schedule comes out, he can go to the end of the season and say, "Well, I know what I'm going to be doing April the 5th.
the second week of April." Right?
Yeah. I'm not going to be a playoff team. I mean, I don't even know who did they hire as a coach now? Have they done that yet?
They hired yes. Let's see if Amma can edit this real quick. Let me check. Who they hired? They hired a veteran. What was his name? Bickerstaff. Bickerstaff's going from Cleveland to Detroit, which was ridiculous, by the way. I can't believe Cleveland fired him. That's got to have Donovan Mitchell written all over it, man.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely. Isn't that
just always looks like that? Like,
doesn't it say more right now about the players running the asylum?
Oh, for sure.
The inmates are running the prison now.
Yeah, man.
Because if you get a star player and he's a free agent, it's like you're going to him to ask, okay, what is it going to take for us to, get you to sign a long-term deal? And I would think it wouldn't be firing Bickerstaff, but it appears.
No, to me, I think the second question is, well, how do you feel about the head coach? You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know if they start the conversation like that, but first, like you said, okay, what's it going to take for you to stay? And then second, how do you feel about this head coach?
Well,
if you say one disparaging remark, the coach is out, man. The coach is out.
I mean, just the way I think that's number one.
Yeah,
how do you feel about the head coach? It's not what it takes, because if you're Donovan Mitchell, you got a max deal.
Yeah.
It's like right now, you don't even need. Somebody asked me the other day about they wanted to be a agent in this league, and they wanted to ask him. I said, dude, how are you going to be Asian in this league? Because everything is wrapped up.
Yeah.
And the contracts are essentially done by themselves, especially if you're one of the top tier players.
Because the new CBA,
we'll give you a max deal. Then the NBA reads over the max deal, the wording of it, and then they go from there. So I just think I think it's more so what you're saying, but I believe that's the first question is, so how do you feel about the head coach?
Yeah.
Then then it's like, okay, when you say, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, then the first thing you're doing now as a team, you're going, okay, are we keeping the talent or are we keeping the coach?
Yeah.
In most cases in the NBA, look like you're keeping the talent over the coach.
Definitely, man, because to give Monty Williams all that money and then just fire him, like the way the Detroit Pistons did, man. I mean, if you're a head coach in the NBA right now that has a job, you're thankful that happened because you sort of push the scale up in the sense of how everyone's going to get paid. But man, you got to also think about it the other way, being like, that poor guy, like what do you have to do to stay in that spot when you have a team like that, a borderline G League team? Like, let's face it, that's what they are, man.
Well, I think that we look at that, and now as a head coach, which we haven't talked about, and I haven't heard anything about, but where's Joe Mazzulla on this thing? Have we heard anything about a long-term deal with Joe Mazzulla? Have we heard about an extension? I haven't heard anybody. Maybe it's under the radar. And if you're Brad Stevens, that has to be the ultimate. That has to be the thing that would concern me more than anything is signing Joe Mazzulla to a head coach, to a long-term extension. And then there's
been reports about it, but there's no figures. No, it's been very, very secretive. But you're right. Yeah, that's
exactly.
A good point.
But that's what we're seeing right now. The season is moving on, and you got a coach like that. Probably is under contract, but I would want to have him as I'd want to have him under wraps for the next 5 years. I got to give him the money. I got to give him the money, and then move on from there.
For sure. Definitely. All right, Max, it's that time. Let's do a quick round of big deal, no big deal. Things have been going on the last couple of weeks, including Celtics wrapping up Summer League, which leads right into my first question. Big deal or no big deal? Jordan Walsh went 0 for 22 from 3 in 4 Summer League games. Of course, Jordan Walsh was drafted last season, the Celtics' first round draft pick, and coming back for the Summer League this year. But is that a big deal? Or excuse me, second round. But is that a big deal or no big deal in your opinion?
Not a big deal. Where is he in the rotation? Where do you see him?
He's not in it. He's not in it.
Okay. Oh, but Josue, how can it be a big deal?
But Max, 0 for 22? Goddamn.
0 for 50. Josue, he's not in the equation right now.
Max, would you shoot another 3 if you missed 21 of them?
I wouldn't. No, hell no. I would not.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy to me.
I would not. But you remember Grant?
I know it's Summer League.
Grant had those funky stats.
0 for 23. That's right. Yeah, he was a rookie. He was a rookie.
Crazy. He did his rookie. He couldn't get
I think he was 25, actually.
It was something. He couldn't get anything to go down. But big deal, no big deal. For the Celtics, I said no big deal. He's a great kid. He wants to learn, but he's not in my rotation. Where do you see him at number what?
No, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal, but I just think it's funny that the way your response to it.
What number is he on the depth chart right now, Josue? What number is he?
Like 12?
12, maybe 13.
Maybe 13. Springer might be ahead of him. Springer might be ahead of him.
Yeah. Kata is ahead of him. So no big
Kata's
deal.
ahead of him. Yeah.
No big deal with that. No big deal.
All right. Why do I feel like if I said Bronny, you would have been like, this is a big deal? Well, he got halfway there before he made his first 3. But I should point out though, the next game he made 3 straight in that 5th game. So
okay.
Yeah. I figured I'd end with that. So if I led with that, you would have been like, well, he made a few. He made a few out there in Vegas. All right, big deal, no big deal. This year's Team USA basketball squad drawing comparisons to the 1992 Dream Team. How do you feel about that?
Nah, not even close.
Yeah, I agree.
Not even close. They're great players, obviously, with LeBron up there, but the talent. Let me see. Okay, with this team this year, what do you have? You have the best shooter of all times, Steph Curry.
Yep.
You have one of the best players of all time. But hell, let's go back to the Dream Team. Hell, you had shooters all over the place. You had Hall of Famers all over. Charles Barkley, arguably, and Karl Malone were the modern Tim Duncan and whatever it was of their era in winning games. And you had Michael Jordan on that team. You had,
is it like Anthony
Scott
Davis and I don't even know what to compare it to. Something like that. See, it's hard to even compare. Yeah, I'm with you, man.
I wouldn't compare it because I think that the talent level for that team is as exceptional as it is right now. No. Now when you think about the Hall of Famers who will be there, and you might some of those guys you're talking about now are going to be Hall of Famers, but no, those guys did it too long.
All right, a hypothetical situation: big deal or no big deal if Team USA finishes this thing out and doesn't win the gold medal?
I mean, what does it? It doesn't. I don't think it really does anything. When you think about it, what is it? Yeah. What does it do? I mean, if they lose it, people are already, killing Kevin Durant on, he's not available, or, can you win with Anthony Davis playing, or LeBron James is your oldest player, and Tatum, and those guys are young players who are, leaning. It was even like LeBron said, I think he was talking about Bam Adebayo, and he said, walking off the floor, and Bam had hit, I guess, 3 threes or something, and he just looked at him as walking off the floor and said, "The new Splash brother right here. This is the new." Bam, get the hell out of here! You don't shoot threes, so it's just kind of funny when you think about it.
Yeah, man. Especially the fact that we'll be going into the regular season without those guys on the same squad is gonna be kind of weird. Without seeing Clay and Steph Curry, but I'm all right. I'll get used to it. I'm not gonna lose any sleep.
Does Clay help them Dallas that much over the hump? Because Dallas needed another scorer, needed another shooter, but
yeah,
I don't see him changing to trajectory of that team.
Yeah, same. But I get the recruitment, if that makes sense, right? I'm on the same page with you, but I get the recruitment. If you're Kyrie, the situation, he's going to be out the door. So why not recruit him? Someone who obviously has won a championship, obviously is going to enter this year with a humongous chip on his shoulder. So I get it. It's like it's worth the risk. It's worth going down this path, trying to stay competitive and just trying to improve your team overall, because you have to, coming off the NBA Finals, losing the finals the way you did. So if you're Dallas,
I get it, no doubt. Yeah.
All right, last one. Big deal, no big deal. Russell Westbrook, who, after reaching a buyout with the Utah Jazz following his trade from Los Angeles, has signed a 2-year deal with the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets coming up in the offseason with a new weapon off the bench, I would guess. Big deal, no big deal.
I think he makes a difference. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say big deal, but he's going to make a difference when it comes to tempo and pace. The thing that you looked at, Denver was a great half-court team, but they didn't get a lot of easy baskets because they weren't running out. Westbrook picks the tempo, the pace, the direction, and that will change what they do offensively.
Yeah, and plus Jokic, he just finds a way to make it work, right? Which version of Russell Westbrook we get we'll have to wait and see. But I think they find a way to make this thing work. I don't know if we'll see the same old Westbrook though, because man, that dude was a baller, man. Like, Westbrook in his heyday, like that was one of my favorite players to watch, man. It's unfortunate he's not that same player. Just never adapted, never worked on his shot. He never did the things that aging stars have to do. But we'll see.
Well, he still looks like he's explosive. And boy, that trade that the Lakers made to get him, that has to go down as one of the all-time busts.
That was such a bust.
But they gave up and all that stuff. Yeah. It really just sucked.
Ever since this MVP season, man, it's just gone downhill, man. One situation after another.
Here's a question I'll ask you before we leave. Big deal or no big deal about Turner coming in, upping the ante for the rights to the NBA versus Amazon.
Oh, good call, man. Yo, big deal. Really big deal. And shout out to Charles Barkley for speaking out, saying this is a shame because this is not about the fans. This is business. And I 1000% agree, Max. Like, no one even comes remotely close to the kind of chemistry those guys have on inside the NBA. ABC, ESPN, they've tried so many times throughout the years to do it. They can't find it. So why not give the fans what they want? And don't act like this isn't what the fans want. I mean, there's going to be a petition throughout the season. Like, people got to remember, they still have 1 year left. So it's not over. It doesn't look great. But if you're Amazon or if you're one of these companies, like, why not bring these guys along? Maybe it's a contract thing, though, Rax, right? Maybe they make too much, but yeah, it's unfortunate. If what TNT's saying is true, it's unfortunate because they're saying that they matched the offer. They matched the bid. And the NBA with Amazon.
Ernie doesn't want to go. Ernie said he doesn't want to leave TNT. And because of that, I think he puts them in a position where they had to go out and bid for it. But if you are the NBA, what would you want to be associated with now? If this is business, if it's a bit about business, do you want TNT or do you want Amazon or, whoever it is that comes in? Who do you want? And Amazon and those people right now has the biggest exposure in the world for your product and for your teams.
Yeah, man. It's unfortunate, man, because obviously all those guys, I mean, it's not just about them. It's about the production team. It's about, guys that they've even shouted out so many times before, Underdog and all those production team crews.
Life change. Sorry. Doesn't remain the same.
But Max, you're putting together a top-notch product and it has to end because of corporate. Like, I guess that's the way it is.
Look, we're talking about you right now. You're talking about the Boston Celtics. You're saying the apron is in place that is going to take away their opportunity to be, or they're trying to take away their opportunity to be dominant. Yeah. So why don't you think that in a business setting that, and what does it say about the NBA, that the popularity of this league is growing more and more, and potentially they're saying the big thing. They're saying that if they get Amazon, whoever it is, they sign a $79 billion contract. Ultimately, players are going to get more money. They said Chet Holmgren might be the first player around who goes out and gets $100 million a year.
That's crazy, man. That's soccer money, man.
I
never thought the NBA would reach that point.
I was born at the wrong time. Well, yeah. And
you would have got a bag. Damn.
Well, here's the thing. When I think about it, and I watched. I want to say it was France and the United States the other day in soccer. I couldn't have been more bored if I wanted to. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine who was here with me, my buddy. We were watching, and I go make a sandwich. What's the score? 0-0. Okay, I'm going to give you something else. What's the score? Tied up, 0-0. I mean, that's the thing about Americans. We want scoring. Yeah. And soccer just doesn't give you enough punch right there when it comes to it's like you score that one goal, and then that's what NBA could be 10 great plays in a row. Unbelievable plays. Soccer is just like, okay, you might have one or two in the game, but nothing really to speak about. Nothing to go over the top.
When they score, man, it's exciting. Everyone goes crazy.
I understand, but Josue is such a short window.
Yeah, no, I know.
Short window.
I know. I just never thought that type of money would be tossed around here. I mean, obviously we've seen it with baseball and, football to a certain extent. But, I mean, growing up, those baseball contracts were ridiculous. Like, growing up, NBA player getting 20 mil, like, that was humongous. Now, that's a guy off the bench can make 20 mil. It's just crazy, man.
But
crazy.
that just shows you the health of the league.
Yeah.
And the ownership to go out and owners on these clubs to go how much money they're going to have to spend to get in. How much money will Wick potentially make in his selling of, part of the franchise? How much will he make?
Yeah.
Because here's a guy who I think he absolutely loved being the governor of the Boston Celtics. He loved it. He walk around with his ring and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, man.
The coolest
Proud
thing.
owner.
But he loved it. Now you're looking at him but he's a businessman and he has to sell high. High. So
right, of course.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, man, that's the business for sure. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, we got another year of Inside the NBA. We see how these guys approach this, how the whole thing plays out. But chances are, man, it's probably the last year, which is unfortunate because that's my favorite show, man. Growing up watching that, even through college, man, I used to be out writing papers. I'd be like, wait a minute, Inside the NBA is on. Let me put this to the side. I got to watch these guys, man. So many years.
To tell you what I miss more than anything, I just didn't know that Kenny Smith was as knock-kneeded as he is. Oh, my God. He started running that board.
When I saw him in person for the first time at TD Garden, I was like, it's like his legs aren't attached to him, man. Yeah, man, it's something. It's something. When you see that shit in person, I'm like, he really walks like that. I thought he was trying to force it a little bit on TV. Like, nah, man.
Oh, no, that was
just walking. We're not talking about running. Never mind what he's running.
Just like,
crazy.
Oh God. So yeah.
Crazy. All right, man. That's gonna do it. This episode of Cedric Maxwell Podcast. Mailbag episode. Everyone, tweet us your questions, your best questions for Max. And we'll read them off on an upcoming episode. Might be the next one. So but let's get some more, man. I got a few going so far. Some messages on Facebook. So but hit us up on Twitter as well. Tweet at us, send us messages, and I'll make sure I read them off on an upcoming episode for sure, man. But that's gonna do it, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Beautiful out here. Summer is summering for sure. And we'll check you guys out next week, man. He's Cedric Maxwell. I am Josue Pavon. We'll see you then.
Peace out.
Josue Pavon here, CLNS Media, and if you made it this far, that means you really like this video. So hit subscribe, make sure you keep our notifications on, damn it, and we got plenty of great content coming your way.